Okay. So let's do some questions. Theory. All right. What are the MCQs that we can do? What are the MCQs? So come to the question section. Online people, this one. Did we do the first one? First question, did we do? Correct statement regarding menstrual cycle. We did that one. Okay. Yeah, 29. Can we try it? Select the correct statement. Second question from the top. Select the correct statement regarding reproductive system of females. Correct statement regarding reproductive system of females. 1 minute. Okay, what's the answer? Select the correct statement regarding reproductive system of human females. 1. Medulla of the ovary contains ovarian follicles. Ovary. Structure of the ovary. What do we know about structure of the ovary? Basically, any solid organ in our body, we divide into two parts, right? Whether it's the kidney, adrenal gland, right? Ovary, right? We usually divide into two parts, outer cortex, inner medulla. Ovarian follicles go through their developmental stages in the outer cortex. In the medulla, in the inner medulla, what do you have? Nerves, blood vessels, things like that, right? So you can correct it, cut the medulla and write the cortex of the ovary contain ovarian follicles. Cortex. Oogenesis starts at puberty. Correct statement. Starts before, right? During the embryonic period, oogenesis starts, but post, right? Primary oocytes are produced, but post. Secondary oocyte arrested at metaphase 1 is released at ovulation. Metaphase 2. Can you see the small change? Secondary oocyte arrested at metaphase 2, ne? But if you're in a hurry, in a rush, like collaborator because you're excited in the paper, if in a situation like that, you're easily going to miss it. Ne? Then metaphase. You're not going to check the small details, right? Secretory phase of the uterine cycle is coordinated with the luteal phase of the ovarian cycle. So you don't need to remember this, just recall the logic. What is happening in the luteal phase of the ovary? As the name says, what? Luteal means corpus luteum is dominating. Ne? Corpus luteum is there in the luteal phase, corpus luteum. So corpus luteum There means what? Corpus luteum is producing estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen and high concentration of estrogen and progesterone means what? Endometrium is maintaining and further developing. So that means endometrial glands are there. Endometrial glands are there means secretions. So secretaries. Got it? So yeah, answer number 4. Online people, I didn't get the answer. Implantation of the embryo occurs at morula stage. Blastocyst. Correct it. Blastocyst around day what day? Implantation? Day 7. Then 47, can you try? Select the correct statement regarding functions of the amnion. Functions of the amnion. So next month we are going to have our bones seminar, right? Probably second week of next month we are going to start support and movement bones seminar. It will be a sort of a free session, so anyone can come and with hands-on bones. And for the online people using the software, I'm going to demonstrate the sort of the 3D views and everything. If you can come to the physical class, you can come, right? Sunday 1 to 5, I think probably second week, I'll confirm, right? Okay, what's the answer? Still doing? Okay, I got an answer. I don't know what answer number 4 is. What's the combination? If you can send A, B, C, D, E or whatever. 4 can combination? C and D. Okay. Okay. I used to remember. I used to remember the combinations, but not. You don't need to study those combinations, right? They are in the paper. Okay. Shall we? Okay. Amnion, no? So amnion කිව්වහම ටක් ගාලා ඔලුවට එන්න ඕනේ. What is amnion? Amniotic cavity, amniotic fluid, protective membrane, prevents from desiccation, shock absorber. Information ටික ඔලුවට එන්න. So it protects the fetus from mother's immune responses. Who is that? It's in the board, right in front. Is it the amnion? It's chorion, right in front. It's the chorion, yes. Associated with the development of the urinary bladder? Who's that? Allantois. Allantois, eh? Yes. So it is not amnion, it is allantois that will become the urinary bladder. Helps to prevent desiccation? Yes. Amniotic fluid. Helps to prevent desiccation. Creates a fluid filled cavity to absorb shocks. Yes, exactly the resource book they are giving. Fluid filled cavity to absorb shocks. It's the source of primordial germ cells of developing gonads. What is that? Yes. It's a yolk sac. not amnion. 28 in human development amnion. Last question of that page. Last question of that page. 28 in human development amnion. So previous question C and D correct. Yes. Okay. What's the answer? 3. Okay. 28. Okay. Human development amnion produces HCG. Who produces HCG? Chorion, right? Because chorion takes over the role of the trophoblast. Trophoblast was producing HCG, so later trophoblast became the chorion, no? Becomes the main fetal portion of placenta, that is again chorion. Protects the fetus from mother's immune responses, again chorion, right? Chorion entirely surrounds the embryo. Yes. Amniotic membrane or amnion completely surrounds it. Serves as a source of primordial germ cells in the developing gonads. There is one. There is yolk sac. Yolk sac. We did that, right? Regarding human development. You don't know about the heartbeat and everything, right? Yeah, yeah. 8 weeks, yes. So let's do it a bit later. We have some structure disease that we can do. Right. In the sort of this sort of weird box, can you see? What is menopause? State two sources of progesterone during pregnancy. State the functions of chorion during embryonic development. Do those questions. What is menopause in the lab? You can do those things. The next page also. First question. What are the structures in the human ovary that contain hormone producing cells? What is fertilization? In what phase of the human uterine cycle does implantation occur? You can do up to there. Yes. Okay, I think we can discuss. No? What is menopause? What is the definition of menopause? Cessation. No, there is a key word. Cessation. Right? Cessation of ovulation and menstruation. You have to mention both. Right? Ovulation, nata, menstruation, natamai. Right? So that's a different thing. right? But you have to mention the two components. There is no ovulation, therefore there is no menstruation, right? State two sources of progesterone during pregnancy. Trophoblast. Yes. Sorry. During pregnancy, corpus luteum, right? Corpus luteum in right, early stages of pregnancy, you have the corpus luteum. What is the other one? We haven't done it yet, no? Yes, what is the other one? Placenta. Placenta has a progesterone secreting function, but just now, I mean, it's the next thing we're going to study, right? So, corpus luteum and placenta. Placenta can produce, it has an endocrine function, right? It can produce some hormones, including progesterone as well as HCG, no? So, you already know HCG, chorion of the placenta can produce HCG, you know. It can also produce progesterone. Okay. State the functions of chorion during embryonic development. What are the functions of chorion? Decamite protects the fetus, embryo fetus from the immune response, yes, and secretes HCG. What is the purpose of HCG? Rescues the corpus luteum. Okay. Next, what are the structures in the human ovary that contain hormone producing cells? Ovarian follicles. Yes, ovarian follicles. What do they produce? Ovarian follicles? Yes, what do they produce? Estradiol, no? Ovarian produce, follicles produce estradiol. Right? I hope you remember. Right? FSH secretion again, ovarian follicles are like FSH stimulates a group of ovarian follicles to start developing. So the developing follicles secrete estradiol, right? Then what is fertilization? What are the structures there? Ovarian follicles. Developing ovarian follicles. Yeah. So they are asking that contain, no? They're asking the structure, no? That's good. Right. Yeah. They're asking the structure, right? Yeah. So the ruptured follicle becomes the corpus luteum. Yes. Yes. Corpus luteum is the better answer. Yes. Yeah. Right? Corpus luteum is a better answer. Because they are asking the structure, no? If they ask the cell, you have to say ovarian follicles. Right? But they are asking the structure, no? What are the structures in the ovary? Yes. This is the corpus luteum. Yeah. What is fertilization? Yeah, you can say fusion of haploid nuclei of the sperm and the ovum is fertilization. Yes, fusion of haploid nuclei of sperm and ovum is fertilization. In which phase of the human uterine cycle does implantation occur? Is it, I mean, supposed to occur? Secretory phase, because why the uterus is most adapted to support an embryo in the secretory phase. Yes, so those are the things we can do. Yeah, from which portion of the blastocyst does the fetal portion of placenta develop? So now they are asking, read carefully, which portion of the blastocyst they are asking. Blastocyst के parts देखो ना, inner cell mass and trophoblast. So what should be the answer? Trophoblast, because yes, later the trophoblast becomes the chorion that will become part of the mature placenta. But they are asking what part of the blastocyst. No? So then it is trophoblast. Yeah. Okay. So we can move on to talk about the placenta and umbilical cord. Page number 62. Placenta and umbilical cord. During the first 2 to 4 weeks of embryonic development, the embryo obtains nourishment directly from the endometrium. Yes, directly from the endometrium. Because why? It's a very small microscopic structure, at few hundred to 200, 300 cells in first 2 to 4 weeks. So, they are those early days, they don't require a specialized structure. They don't require specialized structure. Just the endometrium itself is enough, right? But when it becomes more complicated, it requires specific nourishment, no? So, what are the things that are going to combine? Fetal portion from the trophoblast and maternal portion is going to come from the endometrium, part of mother's endometrium, right? So, from the placenta. Placenta is a disc-shaped organ formed by two parts, the embryonic portion or the fetal portion by the chorionic villi, right? So, chorion has its chorionic villi. Villi means like finger-like projections, no? Maternal portion by the endometrium. Placenta contains both embryonic and maternal blood vessels. As I told you, it's like a place where the mother and the baby actually connects, right? Physiologically and anatomically, again, functionally and structurally, both at the placenta, the mother and baby are connected, right? That's one, like that's the main place of connection, right? So placenta contains both embryonic and maternal blood vessels. However, maternal and fetal blood vessels do not join. Right? ඒගොල්ලෝ බොහොම ළඟින් ඉන්නවා විතරයි. Right? They are very close to each other and they communicate with each other, exchange with each other, but they don't join. Right? Fetal blood vessels maternal ඒවා එක්ක connect වෙන්නේ නැහැ. They are just lying in between. නිකන් crisscross වෙලා වගේ තියෙන. Right? මෙහෙම. But they never join with each other. And they are the blood doesn't directly mix, right? But the material exchange in between occurs. Babaage blood යන්නේ නැහැ අම්මට. අම්මගේ blood එන්නේ නැහැ. But things in the blood get exchanged, right? So there are few functions of placenta. Let's put numbers, right? First one, placenta mediates exchange of material, nutrients, respiratory gases, metabolic waste between embryonic and mother circulatory systems. Put number 1 over there. That is the first function. Mediates the exchange. Placenta mediates the exchange of material, nutrients, gases. Because why the baby is not breathing? Why is the baby not breathing? It's the baby's submerged in amniotic fluid. Second function. Placenta supplies oxygen and nutrients to the fetus from maternal bloodstream and excrete waste products. That's second function. Mostly excrete waste products part, no? Calling a piece like nutrients and oxygen in the previous statement, but also excrete waste products from the fetus to the maternal blood. 3. Placenta also helps to provide immune protection to the developing embryo fetus. I told you, if you take one of the baby's cells, it contains 50% foreign DNA. So for the immune system, the baby is a half foreign substance, right? So that can trigger an immune response, right? So the placenta provides protection from that because blood mix in it, right? So blood doesn't mix means what? Immune cells, antibodies, they cannot come into the fetal blood. Then 5, placenta produces hormones, HCG, progesterone. Now can you see? Which part of the placenta produces HCG? Chorion, or the fetal portion. Then coming to the umbilical cord, it's a flexible cord-like structure containing blood vessels and attaches the embryo or the fetus to the placenta during gestation. Gestation means when that is the duration of pregnancy, right? Oxygen poor blood from the embryo or fetus travels to the placenta through the two arteries of the umbilical cord passes through the finger-like projections or the chorionic villi, where oxygen and nutrients are acquired. Fetal blood or oxygen-rich blood leaves the placenta through the umbilical vein. So, you have a diagram in your resource. Can you see? There's something you need to understand about this, the arrangement of the umbilical cord. අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් arteries and veins කියන concept එක we have to sort of, it checks if you have properly understood what is an artery and what is a vein කියන. So what is an artery? What do you call an artery? Yes. What is the definition of an artery? Online people, what's an artery? An artery always takes blood away from the heart. Artery always takes blood away from the heart. Dhamaniya. Right? A vein always brings blood towards the heart. So why are we usually indicating arteries in red color and veins in blue color? Usually arteries are carrying oxygenated blood. Because why? Usually the blood pumped by the heart into artery, they have just come from the lungs. Lungs වල ඉඳලා ආපු blood තමයි pump කරන්නේ. So usually arteries have oxygenated blood. Oxygenated blood is usually deep red color, right? Deep red color, oxygenated blood. So this is the mother's side, maternal side. This is the fetal side. This side came from what? Mother's endometrium. This side is the chorion, right? Now clear? So these are called chorionic villi, finger-like projections. This is a pool of blood. It's a blood pool. I told you this placenta, when it is delivered, it's very soaked in blood. In pregnancy, it is not pregnancy, in childbirth, there's about 500 milliliters of blood loss because of the placenta getting disconnected and everything. There the blood filled here, it's going to come out, it's going to leak, right? Yes. So yeah, so veins usually carry deoxygenated blood because why? Veins take blood towards the heart. Usually heart towards the heart means what? They just came from the body. Body uses oxygen. Therefore, they are usually deoxygenated. So you can see in the maternal side, maternal arteries are red, no? Maternal arteries are red. Maternal veins are blue. That is okay. So maternal arteries are bringing oxygen-rich blood, oxygen as well as nutrient-rich blood, and they are going into these maternal blood pools, ammage blood. And these veins are taking away deoxygenated blood because why? May genapu oxygen tika they gave to the baby. So the umbilical cord extends down. This oxygen, that oxygen was given to the baby. And the baby's carbon dioxide was gone into this blood. So the blood going away from the placenta or the maternal veins is blue color. But this is the interesting point. So this is the umbilical cord. What are the blood vessels coming in the umbilical cord? We have one umbilical vein, two umbilical arteries. One vein, two arteries. So here, can you see the arteries are blue color? Why are umbilical arteries blue? Blue means what? Carrying deoxygenated blood. Why is that? Because the baby's heart is pumping, but the blood going away from the heart towards the placenta is what? It's coming from throughout the baby's body because the baby is not breathing. So this placenta is the place where the baby is going to get oxygen. So these arteries are bringing blood that are reduced in oxygen to load oxygen to get oxygen regularly. So that's why the arteries are blue. They are carrying deoxygenated blood in the umbilical cord. Then vein, so in the placenta, in the chorionic villi, there is going to be exchange. Oxygen is coming in, CO2 is going out, nutrients are coming in, waste materials are going out. Over there, the material exchange, gas exchange happens. Then you have the one umbilical vein that is going towards the baby's heart. It is red. Why is that? It just got oxygen from the maternal blood. So therefore, the veins that are taking blood towards the heart in the umbilical cord, it's red. It's rich in oxygen. Got it? This is what you have to understand about the relations of arteries and veins in the case of the placenta and the umbilical cord. Is it clear? Right? You can see, right? There's two arteries. There's two arteries and one big umbilical vein. Alright? Some diagrams. These ones I'll show you, right? This is this is chorionic villi sampling. I'll show you this once we are right. We can do something. So I'll just show you these diagrams right now, right? So to check if the baby is healthy, right? If the baby growing in the mother's womb or the uterus, if the baby is healthy, we can do some tests before the baby is born, right? So one of the things we can do is, so this is this, what is this? This is the placenta, no? This one, there is a placenta, no? So placenta is composed of what? The mother's endometrium and the chorion. So what we can do is, using a needle like this, we can take some cells from the chorion. So chorion contains baby cells, fetal part of the placenta is the chorion. So we can take some cells from the chorion and test them, right? We can do some genetic analysis to see if there are issues in the DNA, right? Any, like problems in the chromosome number, Down syndrome, we can do some tests. But the thing is, even though if we find out any test according to the Sri Lankan law, we cannot abort the baby, we cannot remove the baby, we cannot remove the pregnancy, stop the pregnancy. So the only thing that we can do is the parents can be prepared, right? They can sort of be prepared if their baby has any anomaly or any problem. The only thing they can do is be prepared, right? So that is called chorionic villi sampling, right? Chorionic villi sampling. There's another thing that we can do. I told you, what is the needle being inserted here? Where is the needle being inserted here? Into the amniotic cavity. So the amniotic cavity contains what? Amniotic fluid. So what did I say it is included in the amniotic fluid? Urine, hair, and also fetal cells also there. Right? Pavi, understand? Babagi humming at in the cells, right? Those kind of things are in the amniotic fluid. So, that chorionic thing is a bit risky, right? අපි ultrasound scan එකට තියෙන probe කියලා කියන ultrasound scan එකෙන් බල we can put a needle into the amniotic cavity and get some fluid, amniotic fluid. Then we can analyze that amniotic fluid to see if there are any problems, because amniotic fluid has some fetal cells, right? So that is a less risky way. Okay, clear. Right, we can move on. Any questions? Yes, no. We can move on to pregnancy, to talk about pregnancy, and we can finish for the day, right? Pregnancy and its duration. Okay. Any questions, online people? Pregnancy or gestation is the condition of carrying one or more developing offspring inside the uterus of a female. Definition. Highlight. Human pregnancy period is usually 38 weeks from fertilization to birth, or roughly 9 months, right? Or 40 weeks from last menstruation to birth. What do you mean by last menstruation? That is the start of the cycle, no? First day of menstruation means the start of a new cycle. So, start of a cycle in the how many days do you get ovulation? 14 days usually, right? The cycle length is about 28 days. So, in the middle, 14 days, you get ovulation. So, usually around the day of ovulation, you get fertilization. So, from last menstruation, if you are calculating, we have to add 2 weeks to the pregnancy day, right? Pregnancy duration. 9 months of pregnancy is divided into 3 trimesters. Okay, we have 3 trimesters. 3 months gani tunak තියෙනවා. During the first trimester, the implanted embryo secretes hormones to regulate the mother's reproductive system and to indicate its presence, right? Because pregnancy is a very special situation, right? It's something very special. So, if the pregnancy has to be successful, mother's normal reproductive cycle has to be changed. Yes, mother's normal reproductive cycle has to be changed. Because why? If the normal ovarian and uterine cycles continue, there's going to be menstruation. That cannot happen in pregnancy, right? So that's why even the Chuti embryo that just got implanted, it's going to talk to the mother's reproductive system. It's going to talk and say, I have implanted, so don't menstruate. Right? So please don't menstruate. What is the main indicator? HCG hormone, right? HCG hormone secreted by Mullima trophoblast. Maintains corpus luteum in the ovary to secrete progesterone and estrogen. So progesterone and estrogen is there means what? Uterine lining is maintained. There is no menstruation. Some amount of this HCG passes from the maternal blood to the urine. So trophoblast secretes. Through the trophoblast, this hormone can come into, through the placental connection, it can come into mother's blood, no? Yes. So this hormone found in mother's blood goes out of the kidneys by urine. Okay, because urine excretion. So one of the early ways to detect a pregnancy is what? Urine dipstick, right? You can get a urine, if you get some urine and put the sample into it, like testing. There's a testing kit. It's not a kit, it's just a sort of piece of paper that you can put, right? That is going to detect HCG if it's present. So the test strip, have I put it in the tube? Have I put a pregnancy test? No. Right? A pregnancy test. Now you can actually you can urinate on it, right? There is a lipstick right? So it has two lines, right? One is a control line, one is positive. One is a control line and one is positive. Both has to be there, right? Both have to be there to be considered as pregnant, right? Both have to be there to be considered pregnant. But if only one line is there, what is the one line? Control line එක විතරයි නම් appear උනේ after you have put it in urine, right? Only the control line. That means not pregnant. I will show you a pregnancy test. That means මේ red line එක ආවේ නැහැ කියලා කියන්නේ not pregnant. What are we testing for? HCG hormone, right? HCG hormone. In urine you can test. Right? Up to about 3 weeks or 4 weeks you can test using HCG if you are pregnant or not. ඊට පස්සේ මොකද වෙන්නේ? After 1 month, usually after 1 month, if there is no period, you are going to තේරෙනවානේ දැන් මොකක් හරි අවුලක් තියෙනවා, right? After about 1 month, if you didn't get your menstruation, you are going to understand. But within 2 weeks or something, if you are suspecting you are pregnant, make a කල්ලා බලන්න පුළුවන්, right? HCG test එකක් you can do and check if there is a implantation. Right. High levels of progesterone brings about rapid changes in the mother. Okay, so who secretes the progesterone? Placenta. මුලින්ම corpus luteum, then also placenta. Both ovulation and menstrual cycle stop. Maternal side of the placenta grows. The breast and the uterus get larger. So these are sort of obvious changes in pregnancy. Pregnant අම්මලාගේ වෙන දේවල්, right? Breast become bigger, uterus gets large, like that. Mucus in the cervix of the mother forms a plug which prevents the fetus from infections. Really? So, in the cervix, this is the cervix now, right? There's going to be sort of a mucus plug here. So the baby is here, right? There's going to be a plug composed of mucus that is going to block the opening of the cervix, right? So this is the vagina. So vagina is open to the outside. Through the vaginal opening, so you have the urethra here, so urine is coming and that can go up and cause damage. Your bacteria can enter. So the cervical opening is closed by this mucus plug. So the baby is sort of under water tight color, seal color, right? Otherwise, during pregnancy, if the baby gets an infection, it's very bad, right? Sometimes, so in pregnancy, someone බබා හම්බෙන්න ඇඩ්මිට් වෙලා ඉඳිදී we check අපේ ස්පෙකියුලර් මේක ඉන්ස්ට්‍රුමන්ට් එකක් දාලා බලනවා සර්වික්ස් එක හොඳට ඇරිලාද ඒවද බලනකොට if we do too many that sort of inspection සමහරවිට we can introduce germs, right? මේ වැඩිපුර check කරොත් through the vagina, if we check the cervix too much, this mucus plug can get damaged and the baby can get an infection, germs, right? So බබා හම්බෙනකොටම අපි කියනවා බැක්ටීරියාත් කියන්නේ බැක්ටීරියල් ඉන්ෆෙක්ෂන් එකක් ඉපදෙන්නේ එහෙම බබාලා ගොඩක් විට we have to put to the baby unit and treat for about maybe 2-3 days, right? So you have to be very careful when you are checking pregnant mothers because it can introduce germs. And so when you are very close to delivering, when you are very close to having the baby, this mucus plug becomes thin. Thin, right? During the sort of the 6, 7, 8 months of the pregnancy, it's very thick. Right? It's very thick. But when the baby is sort of about to be delivered, that mucus plug becomes thin. So through that, germs can go. Right? Most mothers experience nausea during the first trimester. That is again due to HCG. Right? HCG can cause nausea. Morning sickness, right? Appetite, those kind of things. By the second trimester, the level of HCG declines as a result of the corpus luteum deteriorates. So HCG was doing what? It has a similar action to LH. So it was maintaining corpus luteum, no? But after that, after about 3 months, second trimester can 3 months, so the baby doesn't need corpus luteum because the placenta itself can do the role of corpus luteum and produce estrogen and progesterone, which helps to maintain the pregnancy. Mother can feel fetal movements, right? Usually api second trimester ekedi, usually about 4th month ekedi අපි කියනවා ක්ලිනික් එකෙත් ඒක අහගෙන ලියා ගන්නවා quickening කියලා කියන්නේ. බබා fetal movements. බබා දඟලනවාද කියන එක තේරිච්ච මුල්ම දවස කවද්ද කියලා අපි ලියා ගන්නවා. quickening ඉක්මනට ඉක්මනට නෙමෙයි පරක්කු වෙන එක it's not a good sign. බබා ඉක්මනට ඒ කියන්නේ හරි කාලෙදි දඟලනවා. fetal movements must be felt in the correct time period. Okay? එක අපි particularly clinic book එකේ ලියනවා. As the fetus grows, mother's abdominal organs become compressed and displaced. In the third trimester of pregnancy, this may lead to digestive blockage and frequent urination. Right? Mother's bladder can become compressed. So bladder volume में काट हुए. So the mother cannot stay for a long time without passing urine because the bladder volume is small. तो store करना पड़ता है चुट्टा. Then because of the compression of the digestive intestines, rectum, the large intestine, or it compress when hinda, there can be digestive problems, right? Constipation, right? Then a few things about different things happening in each trimester, right? First trimester, what are the things happening? It's a critical stage of development during which the rudiments of all major organ systems appear. Rudiments means what? Sort of the basic components, right? So basic parts of the blood circulatory system, digestive system, respiratory, all those things in very primitive form will appear. Highlight, it's the main period of organogenesis. Organogenesis. The heart begins to beat by 4th week, but can only be detected at 8 to 10 weeks. Fetal heartbeat. So we do a test. We do a scan in the first trimester at around 10 to 8 weeks. We do a scan, and in that scan, you will be able to see the baby's heartbeat. Right? Ultrasound scan, you will be able to see the baby's heart beating. By 8th week, the embryo is said to be the fetus, right? Can you see the switch? Embryo will become a fetus at the 8th week. Why? Because all the parts of an adult are present in rudimentary form. So, a choti adult we can consider. Highlight that, they can ask. Embryo is said to be the fetus. Why? All parts of an adult are present. At the end of first trimester, fetus is well differentiated and about 6 to 7 centimeters long. Right? 5 to 7 centimeters, right? This here. Okay? So you have to remember that length, 5 to 7. Still very small, no? Right. Second trimester, fetus assume distinctly human features. So 4 months onwards. So that is about how many? 16 weeks onwards, I showed you, right? They look a bit like human. Organ systems are completely developed. The fetus grows to about 30 centimeters. Can you see? Now it's considerably very large, right? About 30 centimeters, right? Very active, and the mother can feel the fetal movements, right? So the muscular systems have developed, and the baby is sort of moving, right? පයින් ගහනවා දැනෙන්නේ second trimester, right? Between third and 6 months. පයින් ගහන එක හොඳටම දැනෙනවා. In those, particularly in the fifth month, fourth month, හොඳටම fetal movements දැනෙනවා, right? Third trimester, during the early stage, most of the organ systems become fully functional, and the fetus grows to about 50 centimeters and weighs about 3 to 4 kilos. Right? That is not average. The average baby weight is about 2.5 to 3.5. Right? Kilo tune babala very sort of tunata vada very babala is rare. 2.5 to 3.5 is sort of average Sri Lankan baby weight. But you just remember as 3 to 4. 4 kilo means it's a macrosomia, again, it's a massive baby, right? Large baby. Right? Fetal activity decreases as it fills the space within the uterus. Baba uterus එක ඇතුලේ හිර වෙන්න ගන්නවා, right? Because it's too big හින්දා දඟ යන්න බැහැ. Right? So its movements are going to reduce because there is no space. Right? So අම්මලා සමහරවිට බය වෙනවා එකපාරටම දඟලන එක නතර වුණා. Right? Sometimes it can be due to the lack of space. Okay. Any questions up to pregnancy? Different trimesters? Any question we didn't do? Yes, 27 we can do it. The in the first page here, the third one from the bottom. Which of the following statements did we do it? Which of the following statements regarding human development is correct? No? Okay, try it. Online people send me the answer. Question number 27. This one. Which of the following statements regarding human development is correct? Yeah, better remember. No? 5 to 7, 30 and 50 to 9. Sorry? Which one? I missed is length. Yeah, no? I'll check and tell. Okay, do the question. I'll check and tell average sizes. Baby average length. No, at at birth, the green line is again average line is from like 40, 49 to 50 centimeters is the average. Yeah, that's the entire length, no? From the legs to the top of the head. Yes, half a meter is not that long. So if you are tall about 3.5 meters, සාමාන්‍ය සෙන්ටිමීටර් 150 ගානක් නම් that is 3 times that. Yeah. බබාලගේ උස බලන හැටි දැකලා තියෙනවනේ. We are not measuring the height of babies, no, we are measuring the length. මේසේ උඩ තියලානේ බල. Yeah, they are at least 50 centimeters tall. So, sorry, may long. Yeah, that is the average length. Okay. Mhm. Okay. What's the answer? Question number 27. Online people. What's the answer? Okay. 3. There's a question. If menstruation doesn't occur during pregnancy, why come people get period but baby won't get aborted? That can't be period blood, right? That can't be period blood. If there is no abortion, there's a chance of some spontaneous bleeding when not පුළුවන් during implantation. Very rarely, maybe endometrial arteries can get damaged and a small amount of bleeding can happen, right? But as a rule, if there was any menstruation, there's going to be an abortion, spontaneous abortion, usual, right? Okay. What about your answers? What's the answer? Three. Let's see. Human development is correct. Number one, during fertilization, a sperm enters the mature ovum, penetrating the surrounding epithelial cells. Mature ovum එකකට enter වෙනවා. See, that sounds very good, right? That statement is very good. What is a resource say something like epithelial? Yeah, they are supportive. That's true. What does it say? Epithelial cells. Yeah. I mean, yes, those cells do not come under the proper definition of epithelial cells, no? They are supportive cells. So that also you can see why they are directly making questions from the resource, right? That's the issue, right? But anyway, if you ignore that, you can also see it is not the ovum, right? It's not the ovum that is being penetrated by the sperm, it is the secondary oocyte. Blastocyst reaches the uterus 3 to 4 days. What is coming to the uterus? Morula, blastocyst නෙවෙයි, right? Morula becomes the blastocyst later in the uterus. So morula reaches the uterus. Secretions of endometrial glands provide nutrition to an early embryo. Yes. Endometrial milk. Placenta only contains fetal blood vessels. No. Maternal arteries and veins are also there. Heart of the fetus begins to beat by 8 to 10. You can feel it. You can feel it in a scan, and also sometimes the mother can feel it. But it begins at 4th week, no? Yes, 4th weeks. 4th week. Okay. So I think theory wise we can do the rest next week. Yeah, there's a structure essay question that we didn't do. What is the basis of the early pregnancy test? What is the basis of early pregnancy test? What can you say? What is the early pregnancy test that we use? HCG test. So how are we testing HCG? HCG secreted by the trophoblast can be detected in mother's blood, so mother's urine, right? HCG secreted by the trophoblast can be detected in mother's urine. That is the basis. So if there is HCG in mother's urine, that means there is someone making HCG. Who is the possible someone? Trophoblast. Okay? Clear? Let's check the essay question. What was it? Homework? Menstrual cycle. This is a past paper question, right? Past paper question 2020 A level. Menstrual cycle, right? So, one of the tricky things that happened was, what are they asking? Only the menstrual cycle. So, what do you have to write? They are only asking the menstrual cycle. So, what do you have to write? Only the whatever that is happening in the uterus, right? So, that year people had written ovarian cycle, ovarian cycle and uterine cycle, because why? If you can remember in the resource book, the menstrual cycle is just two paragraphs, right? So, but they're asking for a complete essay, right? So now can you see? People had wasted a lot of time writing the entire ovarian cycle and uterine cycle, but because of the time, sort of lack of time, they haven't completely written the uterine cycle, menstrual cycle. So that's how they ask, right? So mark your essays, okay? Menstrual cycle consists of changes in the uterus, 1 mark. Menstrual cycle consists of changes in the uterus, 1 mark. That occur every 28 days. That occur every 28 days, or you can say once a month. Infertile women, or you can say in the women in their reproductive years, right? So I think many students haven't written those points, right? Then you can write uterine cycle is controlled by the ovarian cycle. Next point, uterine cycle is controlled by the ovarian cycle, right? Next point, the 3 phases, 1 mark each, proliferative, secretory and menstrual flow. 1 mark each for the 3 phases of the uterine cycle. Then proliferative phase coordinates with, you can start with steroid hormones of the ovary, stimulate the uterus to prepare to support for an embryo. That's all one statement, okay? Oh no, wait. Steroid hormones. No. Just take it as one statement, okay? Steroid hormones of the ovary stimulate the uterus to prepare to support for an embryo. That is completely one mark, that statement, right? Uterus being prepared. Growing follicles secrete estradiol, one mark. Growing follicles secrete estradiol, one mark. Follicular phase of the ovarian cycle coordinates with the proliferative phase. You can say proliferative phase coordinates with the follicular phase of the ovarian cycle. Yes. So that is about the follicular phase. Then secretory phase starts after ovulation. Starts after ovulation, one mark. Opus luteum, one mark. Secretes estradiol, one mark. Progesterone, another mark. Stimulates maintenance, one mark. Further development, one mark. By enlarging arteries, one mark. And the growth of endometrial glands, one mark. Endometrial glands secrete a nutrient-rich fluid, one mark. That can sustain an early embryo if implantation occurs, one mark. Finally, menstrual flow phase. If implantation does not occur, corpus luteum disintegrates, one mark. Corpus luteum disintegrates, one mark. Estradiol and progesterone levels decrease, one mark. Arteries in the uterine lining constrict, one mark. Uterine lining disintegrates, one mark. This causes shedding of endometrial tissue, one mark. With fluid from the uterus, another mark. This occurs as a flow lasting for a few days, one mark. Through the cervix, one mark. And vagina, another mark, right? Stretch marking scheme. Marks, right? Can you see they have come up with a marking scheme? So for almost every word, every keyword, they have been giving marks, because why? There are no points. Points liyan. So they are going to give you marks for almost everything, right? But if you missed a point, right, that's going to lose you marks. Okay. Then you can say next menstrual cycle starts with the follicular phase of the ovarian cycle, right? Next menstrual cycle starts with the follicular phase. Then what is something? What else do you need to include in this essay? So according to the marking scheme, there's only 36 written points. 36 multiplied by 4. 4 marks per point. So for a total of 36 multiplied by 4, 144. Balance 6. Where? You have to draw an endometrium diagram. Right? Endometrium again, how the endometrial lining changes. You have to draw the diagram. Right? That diagram with proper labeling, 6 marks out of 150. And also, because we are asking the menstrual flow phase, menstrual cycle, you're supposed to draw estradiol and progesterone levels as well, right? This graph also required. For that one, 3 marks. Diagram of the endometrium, 3 marks. Tell me how many got you got out of 150 online people? Kasi manang kill. Total of 36 written points. Yeah. uh, 36. 30 out of 36. I mean, what is the total out of 150? Did you draw the diagram? If you drew the diagram, then very good, right? Because it expects a diagram. And also, if you figured out that you're only supposed to write the menstrual cycle, then you have time, no? Then you have the time to draw the diagram. That's why they are asking a diagram, right? This como doble marks. So you didn't write? You didn't? Okay. So mama කියන method එක දන්නවා, right? You have to study the resource, then close it and write, then check after yourself. Right. 100 out of 150, 110, that is good. Did you draw the diagram? Target above 100, right? 150 volt, I mean, above 100 now, that is a good level, right? If you can get all 4 essays above 100, that's a good level, right? That means 5 marks each, no? So out of 30, that means you are getting 20. Out of 30 marks, you're getting 20. So, I mean, it's not adequate, but at this practicing level 2026, if you are in this level, that's good. There is chance to improve. For the essay paper, you have to, I mean, it's very tricky, no? Right? You have only lost 10. So, you have lost 10. How many balance do you have left to lose if you want an A? How pahalawak you can lose, right? So if you are getting only 45 out of 50 for the MCQ paper, and you have 10 more to lose from the structured essay. මෙහෙම වෙන්නේ නැහැ නේ කවදාවත්. Structured essay එකෙන් at least 15 වත් හම්බ වෙනවා, right? So essays 20 out of 30 is a good level, but it's competitive, so it's a competitive exam. You have to sort of do your maximum, right? That's a separate story. But at this stage, right, 100 is a good level, and there is chance for improvement, right? There is, you know. So next this Tuesday is going to be the paper discussion, 8 p.m. right, online. I will send the link. So you can join. Please do the paper. I have sent it to the group and join with the discussion. Right? Okay. Any questions? Do you have any questions? Okay. Then we can finish for the day. Online people, thank you for joining. Any questions? Do you have any questions? No. Okay. Right. Okay. Then we can finish. Okay. If menstrual cycle happens 28 days, and why some people get period 2 times a week, 2 times a month? Yes, as I told you, those are not fixed things, right? Menstrual cycle, nobody knows, right? Some people have a 3 week cycle, some people have a 2 week cycle, right? Him a fixed net, right? Some weeks, some months, you have two very close cycles. Sometimes without an ovulation, you get a menstruation, right? Because of the sort of abnormal hormone levels, everything even can සිග්නල් එකක් නෙවෙයි just on off switch එකක් නේ right on menstruate වෙන switch එක දැම්ම එහෙම එකක් නෙවෙයි it's regulated by different hormone levels right so they can have fluctuations right they can have so many fluctuations and depending on the fluctuation there can be abnormal things happening right so you don't know okay those are what they are studying is sort of the usual normal right there can be deviations one of there are deviations right? Okay right can go